nothing but.
There's truckers on the road, driving for our freedom. Steady down Highway 1, as the whole world cheers. They see the truth that lies ahead. This is our last chance to make a stand. Stand tall and proud like Canadians, and keep driving on that road to freedom. Keep on trucking in the free world. 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 We're driving through the night, holding the freedom fight. Precious cargo indeed. This trip must succeed. And as it passes away through the next small town, more and more people are gathered around. Canadian flags are flying high. Fireworks are lighting up the skies. Keep on trucking in the free world. 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 The destination grows near. Hello, Mr. Trudeau, can you hear? Hear the horns ablaze and hear the engines roar. They've joined together to settle the score. From the north, from the south, from the east, from the west. When you're fighting for freedom, there's no time to rest. Like true Canadians, you've made us proud. Keep on trucking in the free world. Keep on trucking in the free world. Keep on trucking in the free world. Keep on trucking in the free world.
Greetings and salutations, freedom-loving Canadians and freedom-loving Americans. I'm here and we're going to be doing some live coverage of the Freedom Convoy in Canada. It occurred to me that I don't see this on mainstream media. Why? Where is NBC? Where is CBS? Where is CNN? Or even Fox News or any other major outlet? And why is it that we're not hearing about this? They're downplaying it. They are saying it's a few fringe people. There are tens of thousands of trucks in a convoy, miles and miles long, heading towards Ottawa. And just today, they reached their destination. And I thought it important that if the mainstream media is not going to cover this, because all they do is toe the corporate line, paid off, it's no coincidence that most of the major news networks, major advertisers are drug companies. So I don't find it surprising that they're not covering what I'm calling, this is a Canadian revolt. These people have had enough. For 2 years now, the elite ruling class in my country, the United States, in Canada, and all over the world, the elite ruling class have been treating us like serfs. We're the peasants, and they're the ruling class. And they will decide what is good for us while they do whatever they want. How many times have we seen in the United States our elite ruling class get caught doing something against the rules that they themselves are forcing on the rest of the populace? We've got Nancy Pelosi going to a hairdresser when they were all shut down. How did that happen, right? We've got AOC partying in the free state of Florida while she tells everybody in her district that they have to wear masks and social distance and do all these things. The hypocrisy of the ruling class during this whole event should teach you, if you didn't already know this, to quote George Carlin, they don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck. The elite ruling class only care about their power, their control, and their dictating of these insane rules to us this entire time. How many small businesses were destroyed all over the world by these totalitarian despots, dictators, who are dictating to us how we should navigate this crisis while they themselves live in the land of make-believe. Really, their lives aren't affected. And by the way, just a point of mention, but it's important that we all realize that these politicians and these idiots that are making these decisions, they haven't lost a dime since this entire nightmare began. They haven't been forced to stay at home and not work. They haven't missed a paycheck. They still continue getting their money while they're destroying small businesses, mom and pop shops all over the country, barber shops, hair salons, local hardware stores, local grocery stores, local restaurants, all destroyed by these totalitarian dictators who think that they can control us indefinitely. Now, I get it. You're in the middle of a crisis situation. Hard decisions have to be made. But we've had 2 years of this. And these people say things like, trust the science. But then when you show them a study that some of these measures they put in place are not based on any kind of science, they don't want to hear that. And they will ban you from social media for speaking the truth. They will ban you from your video distribution centers and network for speaking the truth and trusting the science. Okay, let's trust the science. Look at this study that says this thing you did didn't work. This thing didn't work. What about the mental health issues that these lockdowns and all these things have created? How many people have committed suicide? I've read a sad story recently about teenagers. Teenage suicide is up a huge amount since this all began. People are feeling lonely, desperate, afraid. And yet the despots and the totalitarian dictators continue ratcheting up their level of control over us. Now, this Canadian convoy is an interesting story because someone caught the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, manipulating the story, because there were thousands of people that showed up at just one location all along this route, this convoy route. Canadian freedom-loving people are showing up with signs to show their support, are showing up screaming, "We've had enough of this. We're not going to continue to allow these people to control our lives anymore. We've had 2 years of this. That's enough." And what did the CBC do? They turned the camera around so as not to show the thousands of people showing up at just one location along the convoy route. This, my friends, is how the mainstream media is manipulating you and me and all of us. They don't want you to know that there are tens of thousands of trucks, a convoy miles and miles and miles and miles long, heading to Ottawa to protest these injustices. Where is our media? Where are the real journalists? There's none left that I see. Very few that I see in the corporate media that are actually reporting what's happening. And so we begin to be manipulated by their careful manipulation of the story to make it appear that there's just a few fringe people in Canada that object to these things we're doing. It's a fringe minority. And I'm here to tell you, Mr. Trudeau and all of you dummies in Canada trying to do this and force this on your people that don't want it. Your time is up. I think that this is the beginning of something beautiful. And I hope, I'm getting reports right now that in Sweden, truckers are forming a convoy. In Brazil, truckers are forming a convoy. This is the start of something wonderful, friends, and we're here to bring it to you. These totalitarian dictators who think that they can control our lives have overcalculated the spirit of the people. My country was based on a revolt that started over something as simple as taxing tea. How long do they think they're going to be able to continue this incredible amount of control that they have been exercising over their populations? How long do they think that this could go on? I'm here to tell you that I want to personally thank every single person in that convoy, all those freedom-loving Canadian truckers. I love you all. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for standing up and speaking truth to power and letting these people know that we will no longer be controlled by them. It's reached a level of ridiculousness now. We've had all this stuff going on for 2 years, and I get it. We're in the middle of a crisis. Some things have to change, but how much longer can we sit back and allow our freedoms to be destroyed by these dictators? So we're going to go to the live feed. By the way, it's a live feed that you're not going to get on NBC or CNBC or CBS, ABC, MSNBC. You're not going to get it in Canada, right? Why is that? I find it very curious that we're not seeing it. We're just not seeing any coverage of this. And when we do see coverage of this, it is intentionally manipulated or just a quick mention. Oh, there's a Canadian, there's a protest. They are downplaying the enormity. This is an enormous, miles and miles and miles long convoy of trucks. Tens and tens of thousands of truckers are saying that's enough. We've had enough, and we are no longer going to accept your unfair mandates. So here we have a live feed, and we can see that the convoy has reached Ottawa. And thank God for freedom-loving Canadians, freedom-loving people everywhere who have stood up and said, that's enough. We are no longer going to accept this level of totalitarian control over us. We're just not going to accept it anymore.
All right, guys, we're almost at 9,000 viewers.
Yeah, and look at that. We've got a live feed with 9,000 people that want to know what's going on there. This, my friends, is why the mainstream media's numbers are in the shitter, because they won't bring you the truth. It is the responsibility of a so-called journalist to report accurately the news, what's going on. And I believe it is the responsibility of any responsible so-called journalist to speak truth to power. Where is that at? We're just not seeing it.
If you haven't already, hit that like button, and if you could share my feed.
I'm going to kill the audio from this, and we'll just take the imagery. We're going to be taking comments and questions from the live chat. I saw some great comments, and I realized this is out of our usual wheelhouse here, but I figured that this is such an important event that it needs more people to amplify the voices of these freedom-loving truckers and Canadians who are standing up for their rights and who are letting these people know that you cannot continue with this. Nobody's going to accept it any longer. What if we all just said, no more, we're done, right? What if we all just said that? We're done with all of it. And we understand the health risks, and we will react accordingly for our own best medical interest. And I just want to say that we're not making any statements about the medical situation going on. My advice to you is to consult your doctor and make the best decision for you or your family. Consult your doctor. But these measures and this continued clampdown on the populace, this control, seems like it's never going to end. When have we ever seen a politician or a government get new, broad-reaching powers that they then surrendered? They're not going to surrender this newfound power that they have. They are going to continue to ramp it up. They are going to continue to use this situation as an excuse to have ultimate control over their populations. And I see the wellspring of people who are sick of this. People have had enough. 2+ years of this now. Now, I could talk a lot about early promises that were made, at least in my country. Anybody remember 2 weeks to flatten the curve? We're up to 2 years. Curve still not flattened. The science did not work. And let's not forget about the mainstream media who lied to us. I have clips that I really can't play, but I have clips of mainstream media outlets telling people that if you get a certain medical procedure, you cannot get the dreaded virus. It's just impossible for you to get once you get this medical procedure. And it turns out that's not true, and it wasn't true. Where are the fact checkers on those people? But no, independent media is getting stomped all over. People are trying to cancel Joe Rogan simply for having a debate and a discussion with recognized world-leading experts on this topic. And they want to cancel him. And hey, by the way, Neil Young, your music sucks, and we're glad that you lost your hissy fit with Spotify. Joe Rogan has been the one voice of a few, but he's been the major voice bringing us the truth when our mainstream media all lied to us. Is it any wonder why Joe Rogan is killing their numbers by orders of magnitude? I saw a statistic that one of CNN's major shows gets 1 million live viewers, or 1 million views, and Joe Rogan gets 11 or 12. There's a reason that they're going after Rogan. There's a reason that they're going after any independent media source that is bringing you the actual real truth and not the manipulated corporate media truth that they want to jam down your throats, because they're all in it in this together. The totalitarian dictators, the drug companies, and big media. Oh, and let's not forget big tech, who are also in on this nightmare and continuing this nightmare going. When will this be over? When will enough people stand up and say, we're not going to accept you ruling class elite assholes trying to run our lives anymore? We've had enough. And, I think that the populace, everywhere I look, the populace, whether it's Europe or Canada, the United States or Asia, the populace of all the countries that I have seen have been very nice about trying to manage this crisis, trying to say, okay, let's do the right thing here. But what is the right thing? And we get told what the right thing is by, bought and paid for. At least in my country, every politician in my country is bought and paid for. Okay? They all should wear suits with their sponsors on the lapel, or, on the back, right? Like, so that when the senator is in Congress and they turn around, you can see a big Pfizer logo on the back of their suit, right? That's the way I think we should do this. At least be honest. At least be honest and say, I got to do anything Big Pharma tells me to do because they paid to get me into this seat so that I would do that. This whole system is a corrupt shit show joke. They don't care about you. The rich ruling elites and corporate despots have bought and paid for everything. They own all the important land. They own the judges. They own the representatives in the House of Representatives. They own the congressmen, the senators. They own the president. What are our leaders who are all sold out? What are they going to do? They're going to do whatever their corporate donors tell them to do. And that's what they've been doing for 2 years now. But here we see the start of something wonderful, something beautiful. Let's stand up to these idiots and let them know that it's over. Enough. Enough is enough. We're not going to just stand by and let you continue to control our lives forever. Now, there was a beginning to this crisis, right? And at some point, it must reach its end. At least to this is all a huge emergency and we've all got to do X, Y, and Z. I'm hopeful that there will be some return to normal, whatever normal is, in due time. Now, I have some other important things that I do have to share here. If I can get control back here. Oh, there we go. Lost a mouse for a moment. Now let's share an important update that I've found. Well, Spooky found this one. Thanks to Spooky. Important update from Ottawa, posted on Twitter, which is, again, very exciting.
C'est sûrement justifié, là. Je connais pas les raisons. Mais la réalité, c'est ça qu'on voit. Donc, les camionneurs doivent continuer et se ravitailler. On l'espère qu'ils vont être capables de le faire à court terme. Et tout le monde sont là pour encourager.
That's right. These people have all had enough. Are you listening, Trudeau? Are you listening, Biden?
De personnes. Il y en a, je le sais aussi, sur d'autres viaducs.
Yeah, so this is what the media is trying to downplay. This is what is happening here. I got another story shared. Oh, this is lovely. So from our Canadian friend, wow, thanks, Brett Wildman. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and support. Very kind of you, very generous of you. We are a viewer-supported show, so thank you very much for the super chat. I just want to let everybody know we read every single super chat here. We read, and we recognize those generous, kind people who are helping us to do this important work. Thank you, Brett Wildman, for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. So I have something else to share, just sent to me by my favorite Canadian, Jason Quitt. Look at this. The last living signer of Canadian Constitutional Charter of Rights sues the government over the COVID travel ban. The article states the last living drafter and signatory of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedom, which is the highest law of the land, is suing the Canadian federal government over its travel ban for the unvaxxed. Former Newfoundland Premier Brian Peckford, 79, is the main applicant in the case brought against the federal government by the Calgary-based Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms, according to a press release. He states it is becoming more obvious that being vaccinated does not stop people from getting COVID and does not stop them from spreading it, the former premier said in a statement. The government has not shown that the policy makes flying safer. It simply discriminates. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau rolled out one of the world's strictest COVID mandates last fall. By October 30th, employees in all federally regulated industries were required to be vaxxed or face termination. Anyone aged 12 and older who wished to travel by plane, train, or ship was also ordered to be vaxxed. When I heard Prime Minister Trudeau call the unvaxxed racist, misogynist, anti-science, and extremist, and his musing, "Do we tolerate this people?" it became clear he is sowing divisions and advancing his agenda against a specific group of Canadians. Peckford continued, referencing a resurfaced interview with Trudeau from September 2021. And just to be clear for any fact checkers, we are citing fair use here, and the source of this article is the New York Post. So we're sharing from I would say a trusted news source. Brian Peckford goes on to say, "This is completely against the democratic and Canadian values I love about this country," he said. "The federal travel ban has segregated me from other Canadians. It's discriminatory, violates my charter rights, and that's why I am fighting the travel ban." Yeah. So, boy, people are standing up and saying enough is enough, and let's stop allowing these people to do this. Interesting to me that the federal government in my country, in the United States, is getting sued left, right, and sideways. A lot of different organizations are suing them for what would appear to be completely and totally illegal. You know, it's a mandate. It's not a law. Nobody passed a law saying that they can control us like this. One second here, and we have another breaking piece of information that we could share. Thanks to Spooky, who's on the fly, supporting this broadcast and making sure that we have the best information to share with our viewers. This is an airplane view of the convoy. Let's start it over. This is an airplane view of the Freedom Trucker convoy between Whitewood and Moosomin, Saskatchewan, Canada. I can never say that. Saskatchewan, right? Look, friends, this goes on for maybe 100 miles. I don't know how long this convoy is, but it's definitely a huge convoy. I've heard varying reports between 50 and 70,000 trucks, truckers, and other vehicles, all in the convoy, heading towards Ottawa to protest this situation and say, enough is enough, friends. And God bless all these freedom-loving people who are not going to take it anymore. Just not going to take it. It's enough. And An interesting thought experiment we may have is, hey, Justin Trudeau, hey, Joe Biden, maybe we don't want to piss off the people that are responsible for bringing us our food, the people who are responsible for bringing us our medicine, right? You want to mess with those people? Not a real smart move. Let me tell you something. The reason I'm so up and excited over this situation is because it truly, pardon me, friends, that's a make sure you're around alarm for my, anyway. This situation is interesting because it brought up an interesting thought to me. And that is, what if all the truckers in the United States and Canada just said, we're not working at all. We're going to go on strike until you rescind all this garbage and let us do our jobs. After all, I don't understand a mandate when it comes to these specific workers because they sit in a truck for 8 or 12 hours by themselves all day. They're not interacting with people. And my father drove a truck. They don't even get out of, my father never even got out of the truck to unload anything. That's the responsibility of the dock workers or the warehouse workers. He pulls up to a loading dock, opens his opens his back door, and then he gets back in his truck. He's not these people don't interact with hundreds and thousands of people every day. You know, the argument could be made for those people that are in a public setting, like if you work in a mall or, you know, a convention center, a stadium, a sports stadium, a concert hall, maybe the argument could be made. But I don't understand the argument being made that these people have to do this. They don't interact with people. And this is, of course, my opinion. Again, consult your doctor. Don't listen to me when it comes to health decisions. We're not giving any health advice here. I tell people, consult your doctor. We've got another wonderful report here. Twitter is really kind of blowing up with reports from all over Canada of this wonderful freedom event. The Freedom Convoy is on its way, Justin. Mr. Trudeau, by the way, well, I'll get to that in a minute. Let's just recognize and bless these freedom-loving people who have stood up and said, enough of this shit. We've had enough. I love it. This is beautiful. And like I said, I think that this could be the start of something. This could be the spring of a river, you know, of outpouring of rebellion. It's outright rebellion in Canada. And it's, you know, what's funny to me is that Canadians are such nice people usually. So for them to get to the level of we're going to stand up and say no, and we don't care about this leader that's telling us that this is a requirement anymore. I think it's very telling. These people are very polite people, Canadians, and they've had enough. And again, this is information that your mainstream media is not bringing you. They're not bringing you this. They don't want you to know. They don't want you to know that you can stand up and say no to these totalitarian dictators that are trying to control us. Do it anyway. Stand up. Resist. Beautiful. Tens of thousands of vehicles in a freedom convoy on their way to Ottawa to say enough is enough. Absolutely, absolutely beautiful people. God bless these beautiful freedom-loving people who are standing up for their rights, who are saying no more. We've had enough of this. You know, it's interesting to me that the ruling class in all countries just think they're going to keep these emergency powers forever and keep running our lives, controlling our lives indefinitely, apparently. Is this just the way it's going to be forever now? I got to show a card to shop? I got to show a card to go to a restaurant? I don't think so. I don't think people are going to stand for this very much longer. and 1 minute. You'll have to forgive me just a moment, friends. It's snowing here in Pennsylvania where I am. Okay, my wife is sending me a message. I'm just making sure that they're not sending my children home early due to the inclement weather. So let's see, what else do we have here? Yeah, we're going to get back to the live Canadian. We have live streams from many different channels that is consolidated down to one feed of the live Canadian Freedom Convoy rolling to Ottawa. Let's share that. And here we see that the beginnings of the convoy, the people at the lead of the convoy, have reached the capital. Interesting to note that Mr. Justin Trudeau suddenly, this is very convenient. So Mr. Justin Trudeau apparently has been exposed to COVID. And so he'll be self-isolating for 5 days at his cottage. And isn't it convenient that right when 50,000 truckers are descending on your seat of power, that you, Justin Trudeau, you coward, run away to your cottage claiming you were exposed and you have to self-isolate? No, this is what we see. These cowards that make these decisions that affect everybody's lives so negatively, when confronted with their nonsense, they run. Justin Trudeau, the coward. Right now, I'm going to check Twitter. I believe it's, let me see, Cottage Coward, I think. Yeah. This is there's a hashtag right now that's it's not trending, of course, because big tech doesn't want to help these freedom fighting people. But there is a hashtag on Twitter, and the hashtag is, in case you want to follow along, is Cottage Coward or Trucker Convoy 2022. And Michael P. Sanger, I see a tweet from him. Twitter has labeled my tweet about Canadian citizens coming out to show support for the truckers for Freedom Convoy as sensitive content. Yeah, the truth is really sensitive. And shout out to Michael P. Sanger. I just happened to see your tweet here first. And he's got incredible compilation of Canadian citizens lining the roadsides and writing in to support the 50,000 strong truck convoy in protest against vaccine mandates and the COVID police state. So we can go on Twitter. And again, the hashtag is Cottage Coward or Trucker Convoy 2022. Cottage Coward. We have Constitutional Cronies writing, proud to be Canadian. Thank you, truckers, for doing what Trudeau can't. Unite the province and the world for freedom. Cottage Coward does what bullies do when stood up against. Unacceptable. Yeah, it is unacceptable. And funny to me that Mr. Trudeau had to run instead of facing the protesters, instead of maybe opening a dialogue with the people that have had enough of his ridiculous, insane policies. Why can't he face those people, right? Why can't he open a dialogue with them and try to unite the country instead of continuing the division, us versus them, making people who don't want to have a certain medical procedure second-class citizens? Do you know that in Canada right now, if you go into a big box store like Walmart, you're only allowed to purchase food and medicine, and you have to be escorted. You have to have an escort to make sure that you're only buying food and medicine. It is this kind of totalitarian dictatorship that these people are sick of. It's enough. And, you know, it's interesting to see that even people who took the medical procedure are against some of these policies. And just to be clear, I'm not anti that procedure, but I'm anti mandating it or forcing it on people. Your body is your body. And I don't believe that anyone should be able to force you to inject anything into your body that you don't accept or want injected. That's my personal belief. But again, I'm not giving any medical advice. Consult with your doctor and make the best decision for you. Interesting day in Canada. The freedom-loving Canadians have had enough. And it's important to note that, you know, maybe you're not affected by these insane policies, but what about neighbors, relatives, friends who may be? There are people who have valid medical exemptions or reasons that they cannot get the procedure. No one is making any concessions for those people. Okay. So we're going to take some questions and comments from the live chat. We have Mike Johnson in Canada who says, grocery stores here where I am in Ontario, Canada are full, but have already doubled in price. Yeah. Yeah, this is Mike Williams says, yeah, trust career criminals, record setters, and criminal fines. Yeah, then that's another thing. This is a source of revenue for many people. Many people are getting, you know, there is people getting fines. So it's a source of revenue generation for some of these people. Let's find people that refuse to adhere to our totalitarian rules that we're trying to jam down everybody's throat and put in place, right? Let's hit them in their wallets, right? And I've seen varying reports of like $1,000 fines for some people for different offenses related to the crisis. Interesting note, and I see a message of support from Melissa Martell on my. Wow, interesting. It appears as if our Facebook live feed has been. Oh no, I'm sorry. I thought one of our live feeds was cut. It appears to still be active, and we are live right now on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, trying to help amplify the voices of these freedom-loving Canadians. Interesting day in history here, and I'm hopeful that this is, yeah, Rob Scary is here. Rob Rousseau on Twitch says, thank you, truckers, patriots. Good. Yeah. David B says, if you have that view, no, I'm not. I'm not anti that. I'm anti forcing it on people. I believe that everyone should be able to consult with their doctor, read the research materials, and make their own decision. And I don't believe that any man has the right to force that on any other man. After all, we have seen and been lied to since the beginning of this thing. People may remember that at first we were told that if you get that medical procedure, you will not get the sickness. Turns out that was completely and totally wrong. And I've got clips of all these different mainstream media personalities telling people that. Where are the fact checkers on that? And Ova Miles is here saying suppression, tyranny, incest. Steve Brown says, do not rely. Saying do not comply makes you look like a spoiled teenager. Well, I think that we should say do not comply, right? I think that it is okay to say do not comply. Because after all, no one has ever complied themselves out of tyranny, right? You got to revolt. You got to have a rebellion like we're seeing here in this situation. This is an amazing day of history. I think we might just be seeing a turning point, right? We might just be seeing a turning point. Oh, and we have interesting new news. I was right. Let me share my screen here and share this bit of information. It's not just Canada. This is beautiful because the seed was planted by you lovely Canadians who said, we've had enough. We're not going to stand for this anymore. We will not comply. And here we see a new convoy is forming in Brazil. And you'll have to bear with me for a moment, friends, because my Spanish is terrible. So I'm going to get it translate to English for this. we're translating to English, right? 1 second. But I believe that this is a picture of the convoy in Brazil right now. Yeah. And this is the convoy of liberty. Interesting. The Canadians have had enough. They have said that's enough. The Canadians have had enough, and now this is going over into other countries now. Going over into other countries, and yeah, I never knew that you could do that. Well, not very important. So the spring of freedom fighters and seed of rebellion that was planted in Canada is now on its way to other countries. Among those, I've heard Sweden, Denmark, and Brazil so far. So we've got other countries and other freedom-loving people in other parts of the world saying, yeah, those Canadians are right. We've had enough of this crap. We're not taking it anymore. Yeah, very, very interesting. And we'll go back to our live feed here. And this is a transformative work. We are educating the public, and therefore this is covered under fair use.
Oh, geez. Okay. Well, now I feel stupid. You guys all know. Okay, thank you.
I don't know how they do that.
Sorry. Thanks for.
We've got a live feed from a trucker who is right now outside of the, I think, is that called the Parliament building, right? And convoy members, convoy rolling in. We've got all these live feeds at once. And again, this is something that the mainstream media is trying to gloss over. You don't want those peasants starting to know that you can revolt against this stuff, right? You can't let the peasants know that they can stand up for their freedom and say, we've had enough of this shit, no more. And, I really, truly hope that this happens in my country. I hope that people stand up and say, your time to control us is over now. We've had enough of this shit. And we're going to stand up for our freedoms. We're not going to comply. We don't care. And, I think it's interesting that at least in my country, the police have been sort of a mixed bag. In New York City, police are arresting people that try to eat in restaurants without the right card to prove whether they've had a certain medical procedure or not. I think that the police in major cities like New York should have something better to do than arrest people trying to have a meal at Applebee's, But in other parts of the country, usually in more rural areas, we have seen police refuse to enforce mandates. In fact, I have a cabin in Pennsylvania, and I'm not going to say where because I don't want to endanger the jobs or careers of those police officers where my cabin is. But the police officers near where my cabin is, they will not enforce any of this nonsense. They will not enforce it when it comes to restaurants being open. In fact, where I was, at the cabin, there was almost no lockdown of anything. Everything stayed open. There was no masks. There was nothing. And interestingly, the sickness rate and the rates of death were lower there than in other places. Of course, that could be population related. But my point is that it's not just the people that have to stand up. Others need to stand up and not comply as well, including people in authority like police officers and others who are being told by this rich elite ruling class bunch of assholes, you got to go arrest those people. They're trying to have a meal. What if all the police in the United States and Canada just said, we're not enforcing any of this because it's not a law. We swore to uphold the law. A mandate is not a law. What if all the police did that? How quickly would this situation turn around and turn against the totalitarian dictator of ruling class idiots that are trying to impose these unjust things on us? It would stop. It would stop immediately. It would stop the very day that happened. You would be defanging the snake if the police all stood up and said, we refuse. We're not going to enforce any mandates or any of this nonsense because this is not, it's not been passed into law. It's somebody issuing, basically it's a recommendation, right? My Tech ID says we cannot let Justin Trudeau become the worm god. Well, I'll agree with that one. Madam Two Swords, LEM says, Madam Two Swords, Trudeau is our pathetic excuse for a prime minister. Yeah, you know, him and Biden are two peas in a pod, but at least you guys got somebody that can speak intelligently and, you know, collect his thoughts enough to make a speech, right? Our guy's not doing well. Really not doing well. I want to remind everybody we're a viewer-supported show. I think I missed a super chat, and if so, I apologize. Sometimes I get a little bit animated and distracted here. I believe that I did lose one. Let me try to find that. And while I do, let me just remind you that we're a viewer-supported show. One of the best ways to support us, of course, is to throw some money at us. And there's a super chat button. There's a PayPal donate links in the description, and you can join our Patreon for as little as $1 a month. You know, instead of supporting your corporate media lying to you, why not support good independent journalists and content creators who are doing their very best to bring you the truth and not lie to you, right? Oh, there we go. Ace of Diamonds 89 with a kind and generous $5 Canadian, yeah, is that, or pounds? Thanks for covering this live. Brother, it's Netherlands money. We like Netherlands money. Thank you, Ace of Diamonds 89, for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. Thank you for supporting independent journalism, who is telling people the truth. Imagine that. We're telling everybody what's really happening in Canada today. And I just did a quick check of CNN.com and a few other news sites. Guess who's not? Guess who's not covering this at all? Guess who's not covering this at all? I can't believe that such a major event is happening all over Canada, and the mainstream media is just silent on this. It's amazing to me. Celine Loves Light says, Steve, it's all for humanity, not just Canadians. I agree. These people are standing up for all of humanity, not just for their own people. And I hope that this seed of freedom that they're planting today will grow into a giant redwood and choke these dictators out. Right? Let's get rid of these people. These rich elite assholes, they give us these rules and then they don't follow the rules. We've seen it time and time again, right? Look at the governor of California. He puts out a mandate saying that you can't, restaurants have to be closed. You can only have outdoor dining. And then he gets caught unmasked, right? Unmasked in a restaurant. Clearly he was inside, you know, there was a chandelier above him. He wasn't outside, right? So the elites are making these rules. They're destroying businesses and restaurants and barbershops and beauty salons and mom and pop hardware stores all over the country. They're destroying small businesses. They are trying to choke out the middle class. They don't want a middle class. You know what they want? They want kings and peasants. That's what they want. And they're the kings. They don't want any noble middle class that might have the resources and, you know, to challenge their rule. They want peasants that are so poor and desperate they don't have the time, energy, or resources to fight them because they're too busy trying to scrape by and eat every day. They're trying to destroy the middle class. That's what this is about. And while the middle class has been decimated by this, what happened to the rich elite ruling class? Well, they're all making money hand over fist because they've got stocks in things like Amazon having record products while everybody's locked in their house and can't leave, right? The rich elite ruling class have gotten richer through this. And the middle class is being systematically destroyed by these dictators. How dare they tell all these people who own businesses, you've got to shut your business indefinitely because you're the cause of the spread of this thing. And somehow I can't go to my local hardware store because that's dangerous, right? But I can go to Home Depot, the big box store, and that's not dangerous. Or I could go to Walmart and be inside a huge warehouse of a building with shitty ventilation with hundreds of other people. And these people are going to tell me that that's okay. But going to my local restaurant is too dangerous. Go into my barber shop. I had COVID hair for a year. And what about those barbers, those beauty salon owners, those hardware store owners, all those restaurants? Where's the relief for them, right? I'm fine if you want to shut down their business, but you got to give them the money that they lost. You can't just shut them down and say, well, good luck. Hope you can still feed your family in 6 months when we maybe lift this thing. And let's not forget gym owners. What the hell? Why has no one talked about the fact that a large percentage of people who are having a real hard time with this are severely overweight? I know. Let's shut down all the gyms. That sounds like a good idea when people that are obese or overweight are having a real hard time with this situation. Let's shut all the gyms down. Why has no one stood up and talked about get healthy? How about that? How about we get healthy? Stop eating garbage from the corporate mass farms and corporate mass frozen food empires. Let's stop eating that garbage. Maybe we should eat healthier. Maybe we should be taking vitamin D and zinc supplements. Remember, trust the science. Go look into vitamin D and zinc when it relates to this thing. Why is no one in the media telling us about vitamin D and zinc? Now, we have to be very careful with what we say here. Again, we're not giving anybody medical advice. Consult your doctor. But when people say trust the science, and then we've got valid scientific studies telling us that maybe some things we could be doing are good ideas, we're going to ignore that, and we're only going to go to one solution. There's only one solution to this whole problem. And we know what that solution is, right? Friends, remember too, that if you get this medical procedure, it may be free for you, but somebody's got to pay for that. And imagine the millions and millions of people. I believe it's $125 a dose that these companies are getting paid, $125 per dose. Times that by hundreds of millions of people who are taking this. Maybe, just maybe, there may be some financial motive in people who act like there's only one solution to this problem, and that is this medical procedure. But again, consult your doctor or attorney. I'm not telling you not to. I've gotten it because I happen to be high risk. I did the research, and I felt like that was a good thing for me to do. I consulted my doctor, who agreed with me that after researching, it was the right decision for me personally. So consult your doctor, and that's the only person that I would say you should be getting medical advice from for sure is your own doctor. Go to your doctor, talk it over, and make the best decision for you. And just online, FetLife says it's not about the mandates and it's about the Great Reset promoted by the World Economic Forum. Yeah, hey, we're going to build back better, right? You'll own nothing and be happy, Justaline. You're going to own nothing and be happy, right? David B says, Biden can hardly manage a teleprompter. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Can't even manage, that guy can't even read a teleprompter right. You know, I don't know how. And guess what? You know, it is the corporate media that put him in power, right? Now they're starting to turn on him, right? They are definitely starting to turn on Mr. Biden. They have to. Their ratings are all in the shitter. But I just want to mention that it was the corporate media who, you know, controlled the narrative, destroyed any evidence that Mr. Biden may have been in bed with the, you know, making bad deals, selling influence peddling between him and his son. They don't want, the corporate media hid anything that made Biden look bad. That's not fair. They amplified out the wazoo the other guy, and I'm not saying I'm a supporter of the other guy, but come on. You can't manipulate. The corporate media manipulated our election by hiding any negative information about one candidate and amplifying any negative information about the other. And the corporate media put this guy in place that obviously is too old and incapable of being even a CEO of a small company, let alone the leader of the free world. And I love now he's going to appoint a new justice of the Supreme Court, and his sole criteria, I'm sure it's not his sole criteria, but one of the criteria for his selection is they must be a black woman. Great. He did that with the vice president too, and we saw how well his choice worked out. Every progressive that I know doesn't like his choice of vice president. So, you know, and just to be clear, I am for opportunity for all people, but choosing a candidate based solely on race is just as racist as excluding a candidate based solely on race. But this is where we're at in our country. It's you know, we're going to choose a person for a job based on race. Mike Johnson says, such a horrific pandemic that planes, trains, and shipping were still hauling people around since it started, but it's too dangerous. Jennifer Oliver reporting they have stopped traffic in front of Parliament. Good. Baker mentioning Pfizer's new pill. You'll forgive me for not reading your entire statement out loud. I can't. Yeah, I'm a little bit muzzled here, but we're saying all that we can say. You know, I want to invite you, if you haven't already, to please like, comment, and subscribe here. Support independent journalists who are trying to bring you the real truth while the corporate media is lying to you. And is it any wonder that Joe Rogan is doing so well? Why are they so afraid of the debate? We can't even have the debate in this country. We can't even listen to both sides of the argument here. You get stamped out, right? You get stamped out and censored or, you know, canceled just for having the debate or bringing up the science. They're the ones saying trust the science. I agree with that. But when we've got science that contradicts the garbage information we're being spoon-fed by the corporate media, that's a problem. That's a real problem. When we've got science and scientific studies and say, yeah, let's trust the science. What you're telling people is bullshit. Let's trust the science. Oh, we can't have that debate because anything that goes counter to their agenda is not allowed. We've got big tech stamping out people left and right. The inventor of mRNA vaccines is not allowed on Twitter. Amazing. Yes. David B. mentioning they shut down all legitimate debate in case they lose the narrative. Absolutely. If they lose the narrative, we're in trouble, right? And I believe they're starting to lose the narrative. I think there's a turnaround. The Wicked Truth says, I've been working in the public and have traveled to Nevada around a month. The past 2 years, I have not been sick once, not even with the cold. Well, Yeah, interesting. I got a cold like once in 2 years, maybe. I got a cold and like a scratchy throat once, but yeah, I haven't been sick really sick. I mean, like anything that was like really like, oh, I got to take a day off of work even. I haven't been that sick since the pandemic began. But I got to again, I'm not allowed to give medical advice, but I will say that I'm on a regimen here of an awful lot of supplements. I'm trying to eat healthier now. I haven't actually through the pandemic. I wasn't eating healthy through this whole thing. I just started again recently. I'm eating as much raw, real food as possible and as little processed food as possible. I'm already down 8 pounds just by doing that. And to be clear, I'm not like 300 pounds here, but me, like everybody, I put on a good amount of weight in the middle of this thing because I'm sitting in my house all day, right? Celine Loves Light says, I will send you the live show for today and tomorrow in your email. Can't do it here. Yeah, thank you. And also thanks to Celine Loves Light for sharing with me that wonderful intro. I reached out to the person who made that, who gave me permission to start the show with it. Excellent. Keep on trucking in the free world, supporting those freedom fighting Canadians who they've had enough. These people have had enough. We've all had enough. We've had 2 years of this. And, I've just heard somebody on, was it Bill Maher's show, who said, I'm done with this, and got attacked viciously. Like, well, this is not done. Well, it's done for some people. I agree that the crisis is not over, but is it truly a crisis anymore? Or have we developed enough in the form, look, it's been 2 years. Haven't these doctors figured out how to successfully treat this thing? Because I've read some things that some doctors are extremely confident in their choice of treatments. But again, consult your doctor. Consult your doctor. We don't give any medical advice here whatsoever. But I will say that it's been a few years now. We should have some method of dealing with this thing other than one solution. And that's all I'm saying. There's got to be more than one solution here of how to deal with this problem. It doesn't appear that they really want to have anything but that one solution, which is making Big Pharma huge amounts of money, right? They're making out great. They are making out wonderfully, Big Pharma. Now they're going to be rolling out therapeutics after they've already made billions, maybe trillions on their other solution to this problem. And some would argue that there may have been therapeutics available, effective ones, since the beginning of this thing, but we weren't allowed to hear about that. And, I really have a problem with the censorship when it comes to that as well. Because, if someone's an actual expert in a subject, they should not have their voice taken away from them simply for voicing an opinion.
A slow speed chase in Dallas. Oh, no.
And here we have live footage of the convoy in Ottawa. Here we are. These Canadians have had enough. They've had enough of this. Good for these people for standing up for freedom. Good for these people for standing up for all people. It's not just Canada. They started a movement today. Well, not just today. They started, Convoy's been going for a while. Nobody's noticed. But today, really, I think, is the seed and start of something wonderful. We've seen that this movement has now moved on to other countries, Brazil, Sweden, Denmark, and more. Brazil, Sweden, Denmark, and other countries are now having freedom convoys as well to protest these things.
I'm curious and excited to find out if there's any kids that are on here right now that are going to take part in the drum roll.
And in the meantime, while the kids are showing their support, just direct your attention to the chat because I'll be posting some information, updates, and links.
Pardon me, friends. Somebody's calling me about my automobile warranty. Yes.
I want my daughter and my son to do that drum roll. So if your time, you're
I don't know who's screaming here. We'll kill the.
at 3. I googled it and I think it's right.
I want to know when his car passes by here.
Appears to be that they are blocking off the street in front of their parliament building. Don't want to upset those ruling class people with, I don't know, 50,000 trucks rolling past, blasting their air horns, letting these assholes know they've had enough. We can't have that. Can't have that happen. Let's shut the street down. You know, kind of like in Washington, D.C., they're building a whole new wall around the White House. Annie Kurtz says, I have heard for every 100 people standing together in truth and freedom, its impact on the world is 1,000 minimum. Yeah, I think, you know, sometimes it takes one person. One person can make a difference, Annie Kurtz. One person who stands up and says, I will not comply. At the right time and the right place, that person can make a huge difference. Real big believer in one person can make a difference. The Wicked Truth says Trudeau is pretending he came into contact with COVID, saying he has to isolate. Yes, we mentioned that earlier, Melissa Martell. And there is a Twitter hashtag right now, cottage coward. Trudeau is a coward. He will not face his own people. Why, Melissa? He's the king. Why should he face the peasants? These unhappy peasants, right, with their pitchforks and their torches coming at his seat of power. And that's what's beautiful about this. They're going right to the seat of power in their country. And they're standing up loudly and aggressively and saying, enough. We will not comply with this. This is unjust, unfair, and illegal. And good for them. God bless these people, because it's not just what they're doing for their own people, because they are inspiring others to do the same, to stand up for their rights, to say, we've had enough. We're not going to accept this any longer. B. Baker mentioning inventor of mRNA transfer method, Malone, who's against these things, is censored on many platforms. Yeah, and that's a travesty of justice as well. That man has every right to speak his mind, or he should. Melissa saying she didn't vote for him, I promise. I mean, even if you did, it's not your fault. Sometimes, you know, you vote with somebody with good intentions and then they turn into a dictator, right? Yeah, let's get Australia in on this. What's going on in Australia? What a nightmare is going on in Australia. People are being beaten in the streets, dragged to camps. It's crazy. And I always equate it, Mr. Barlow. I've always, you know, I know it's not the United States, Australia, but I've always sort of equated Australian values about freedom, freedom of speech, and one time, freedom to bear arms. They took away their people's guns in Australia. So is it any wonder that the totalitarianism ramped up like crazy as soon as they took the guns away from the citizens? Maybe, just maybe, that's why it hasn't gotten that crazy here in the United States, because we've all got guns, and we will not be oppressed and you know, mistreated to a certain, well, to some extent. You know, we've been mistreated, and we've been you know, they've destroyed our businesses, they've shut down our livelihoods, taken away our ability to earn a living here in the United States. But at some point, I think the Australians went further, because their citizenry is not armed and they can do whatever they want. What are they going to do? The only people that have guns are the totalitarian dictators and their enforcers over in Australia. B. Baker says authoritarianism is what is being pushed there. They don't care how they do it. It's just one of the methods to turn us into controllable products and reduce our population. Yeah, good. Anthony holding down the Twitch. He's over in the Facebook live feed, which I am happy to see. Mike Williams, I can't read your statement, but I'm going to put it on the screen. I'm afraid of the algos, so you'll have to forgive me. And I agree. We should have been talking about prevention, and we should have been talking about therapeutics and some method of combating this thing other than the one solution that was offered. 1 second, somebody advising me to check my email. I'm going to do that right now. And I have to remind everybody that I would like to be here for 5 hours today. Maybe we'll do an additional broadcast here. Thank you, J.A. I did see this, and I didn't tag it to share. So we are going to share that because here is the hypocrite himself, Mr. Justin Trudeau. And this is from a short time ago. He says, while many of us are working from home, there are others who aren't able to do that, like the truck drivers who are working day and night to make sure our shelves are stocked. So when you can, please thank a trucker for everything they're doing and help them however you can. Yeah, exactly. What a hypocrite. You know, now he's going to force some medical procedure they don't want down their throats, and they'll lose their livelihood if they do not comply. And we've got more nameless, faceless, just another note of fun, more nameless, faceless Twitter account trolls. Today, I got attacked for having a medical disability because I wear these glasses. And by the way, for those unaware, I have a paralyzed eye. So somebody posted a disparaging thing about me wearing the glasses. I have a medical disability. I'm not going to apologize for that. And then when I informed them that you're making fun of somebody with a disability, then they redid the graphic with a wonky eye to make even more fun of me. Congratulations, you assholes. I guess, are there some people in wheelchairs that you could tell, get up, stop being so lazy today, you assholes, right? And I love it. They never attack the data or the evidence I present. They only attack my appearance. I look like the grandma's boy guy. Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, great. That's all you got? Is that all you got? Come on. It's Kylo Ren too, not just the grandma's boy guy that I look like. And by the way, I guess that is disparaging, saying I look like the grandma's boy guy. I am so much more handsome than that dude, right? Yeah, I agree with you. It's best to ignore them. That's what they want. They want the attention. Jesse Singer says, and I love your glasses. Yeah, so I just want to mention that I have to bounce on out of here because my children are in school still today, even with the snow, and I have to go pick them up from the bus in a very short time. I've got just a few minutes left here, but we want to make sure that we support these freedom-loving people who are standing up for their rights and saying, no more. We've had enough of this, right? God bless these fine people who are standing up for their rights, who are saying, we've had enough. We're not going to take this anymore. I think we may begin to see a real turning point here because it appears that some of the coverage, even by the mainstream, is starting to shift. And I think that the mainstream media and those corporate dictators that are supposed to be our leaders, those bought and paid for, let's be honest, bribery is legal in the United States. It's just called a campaign contribution, not a bribe. So God bless all those people who are standing up to these people, these corporate bought and paid for bribed leaders that are doing exactly what the big corporations want them to do. And all lockstep in line here. We've got a big pharma, we've got big corporate interests like Amazon and the big box stores getting together, colluding to destroy all their competition. We've got our leaders here and elsewhere Wow, very, very generous of you. Abraham, thank you for your kindness. Wow, so generous of you. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. This is a viewer-supported show, and we could not do this excellent work without your support. Warms my heart to see people from all over the world. Abraham, very, very generous of you. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you and yours, Abraham, as you have blessed me and my work here. Very much appreciated. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. Don't forget to drop a like on the video. Don't forget to share this video on your social media. It's not just me that has the power to amplify these freedom fighters' voices. You have the power to amplify their voice. Don't let this message go unsent. Share this video on your social media. Send it to some friends. Put it on your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter. Retweet it. Make sure that we all do our part to help these freedom fighters get the message out that this will no longer be tolerated. We are not going to sit there and comply with these unfair, disgusting people who are trying to control our lives for some 2 years now. We've had enough of this shit, and we are going to stand up and say no more. No more mandates. No more shutting down people's businesses. No more stopping people from earning a living while these government fat cats still get their big fat paychecks. And by the way, is it any wonder that the United States Congress is exempt from all these mandates? Did you know that? Congress is exempt. Isn't that convenient? And what's that thing that Congress shall make no law? Right? Isn't there a principle that says Congress shall make no law that doesn't also affect them? That went out the window. We might as well just wipe our ass with our Constitution right now because they're stomping all over everybody's constitutional rights. It's not rights. It's privileges that they take away whenever they want. We've seen it with the Patriot Act, right? We've seen it with these FISA courts. We've seen it over and over again through this crisis. I will quote George Carlin again. These rich mother don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you. They don't care about you, me, or anyone. They care about money and power and always getting more of it and control. Do not let yourself be controlled. Take a stand today by liking, commenting, sharing on this. Share this video far and wide. Let's get this Canadian freedom fighters message out to the world. Let's stop the corporate media from silencing these people. This is the reality. This is what is happening. This is what your corporate media will not share with you, but we will. Don't let these freedom fighters' voices be silenced. Share these videos. Share the live feeds of what's going on. Stop the corporate-controlled media from controlling the narrative. Stop them from silencing the voices of these freedom fighters who have had enough and stood up to these dictators trying to dictate and control our lives for years now. Stand up to them. It doesn't take much. A few clicks of a mouse and you could share this video and really help these people and independent journalists like me who are trying to bring you the truth in the face of tremendous censorship, in the face of cancel culture, in the face of all of this. Do not let them control the minds of the populace. Fight back. If you are listening to the sound of my voice, you are the rebellion. Help us to spread this message. Now, friends, please do drop a like. You can join us on Patreon. You can send a PayPal donation, a super chat, and help us in our efforts here. We also have a Discord server where you can talk with like-minded people all the time, not just while we're having a live broadcast here. Share this video. Come join us in the Discord. Hit that subscribe button. Smash that notification bell, and you'll know when we're doing an important live broadcast, and you can come here and be a part of that rebellion. And that's what this is. The peasants, these people think we're peasants. The peasants have had enough. And it would appear, my friends, that the revolt, the rebellion is finally underway. Join it by helping amplify the voices of those brave enough to stand up to these injustices. I'm going to thank my contributing producer, Spooky, who is largely responsible for this broadcast, what we shared, and our ability to cover these live events. I simply have to bounce on out of here now. I have to get my children from the school bus. We may return later this evening with continuing coverage of this historic event. And thank you, Jackie O, for your kindness, your generosity, and your support with a fine and generous super chat of $5. Saying, sorry, Stephen, late. I love you. And I love you, Jackie O, for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. God bless you and your family and yours for blessing me and my family and my work here. It is much, much appreciated. So I'm going to bounce on out of here. I want to encourage you one final time. It's very, very important. It's very, very important. We all can help in our own way. And one of the best ways that you can help with this effort is to like and share this video. Let's get this information going viral so that they cannot stomp out the message of these freedom fighters, of these people brave enough to stand up and rebel and say no more. I consider this important work. And you know, one of the important things that I think that a journalist should do is amplify the voices of the powerless, right? Tell the stories of the people that don't have their voice. Give voice to the voiceless. And we try very hard to do that here. I want to thank, boy, what an outpouring of support we had today from you kind and generous super chat donators. There's links in the description if you want to send a donation when we're not live broadcasting. And you can always join our Patreon where we give some extra content and really try to bring people the truth. So I'm going to thank each and every one of you for joining us. And I want to remind you all that the truth is the truth. Even if it's hidden, it's still worth having. And sometimes the truth can be ugly, but it's still worth having. These corporate media shills are also bought and paid for by corporate interests. We've seen it time and time again. They don't care about you. They don't care about the truth. All they care about is preserving the narrative that they are manipulating. They are manipulating you. Don't let them. Don't let them. Stand up. Fight. Do not comply. So until next time, friends, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless you all, especially all you freedom-loving people who are finally starting to stand up and say no more.
Freedom! Nothing but!